The definition of enough: an adequate or sufficient quantity, degree, or amount to meet a need or requirement. The requirement for Houston: AFC Championship game. The need: a Super Bowl run. Did the Houston Texans do enough this offseason to where now we can believe that they have what they need to make those dreams come true?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, Bulls on parade, H-Town all around the world. Welcome to today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast with me, your host, Texans Credential Media member and Texans football analyst, John, some sports guy, Hickman. I am back on this Tuesday, ready to turn up with you guys. And I know it may be early for some, it may be later for others, but thank you for making the Locked On Texans your first listen of the day and been a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Y'all know what the words are. Your team every day. It's Tuesday, so we're kicking it off. We're keeping it rolling. And on today's episode, I'll be looking at my biggest prediction for the Houston Texans. And I may have a lot of biggest and bold predictions this offseason as I'm now doing the show by myself. But this time it'll be surrounding the position battles that we'll see throughout the offseason, training camp, and preseason games leading up to week one. We finally hear from the big fella here on the show. CJ Ersery has some words that I think it's time for us to dive into that he made over the weekend at the rookie minicamps. Open up today's show. Have the Houston Texans done enough? Have they done enough to get over the hump? Enough, again, inadequate or sufficient quantity, degree, or amount to meet a need or requirement. Have they done that? We'll dive into that on today's show, and let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, I want you guys to hear from Nick Caserio on his past mistakes and getting over it.
No, I think, you just got to be open-minded. I mean, there's going to be things that happen. So, honestly, just try to take it one day at a time and just try to have constant dialogue and constant communication with the people in the building. I mean, I've talked about this publicly. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with D'Amico. I mean, love working with them, love having conversations, and we're just trying to, in the end, just put the organization in the best spot possible and help each other. So, again, I would say, I'm pretty curious and always trying to find ways to get better. I'm not going to talk about them publicly, what some of those things are. So, I mean, honestly, just try to do the best I can every day for this organization, try to put in the best position possible, and hopefully we can just keep making progress. I think we feel like the program's in a pretty good spot. There's a lot of work and a lot of time, a lot of effort that's gone into this. So, the goal is every year is going to be different. Honestly, what's going to happen in 2025? I mean, none of us know. I certainly don't have any answers. I mean, a lot of people probably think they do, but none of us really know what's going to happen other than, let's just go out there, try to have a good day, try to stack days on top of each other, try to establish some level of consistent performance. And then in the end, it comes down to how well does the team execute on Sundays. So we're going to execute well enough, or we're not. So, I think they showed a stat at the league meetings. 70% of the games were one score in the fourth quarter in the league this year. So what does that tell you? It tells you the margins are so small. So what can you do to give yourself an opportunity to put yourself in a position? Because in the end, it's going to come down to probably a possession in the fourth quarter. Who's able to execute? The teams that execute are the ones that are going to be able to win and advance, and the teams that don't are not. So that's kind of how we're, approaching it. But, if there's something we can do with the process, there's something that we can do with something within the program, there's something we can do in one of the department areas that helps the team, ultimately that's my responsibility, and I have a fiduciary responsibility to do that for, as many people here in the building. That's what we're going to try to do.
I got to ask you guys before I dive into my thoughts, what is your favorite salad dressing? Ranch, balsamic, whatever it is, make sure that you put that on Nick Caserio's word salad next time the media gets an opportunity to ask him a question. But I did think he said some good things that I want to take away from. Just finding ways to put the team in the best spot, right? Also, he mentioned the league's numbers on 70% of the games came down to a one-score possession in the fourth quarter. You look at the Houston Texans, the Green Bay lost by 2. Green Bay lost, one score. Technically, you can look at the New York Jets with a touchdown and 2-point conversion. That was an 8-point loss. The Detroit loss, the 5 interception loss. They forced Jerry Goff to 5 interceptions. They lost that game. 1-score game, 3 points. The Tennessee game, 1-score game, 5 points. So Houston themselves have found themselves in 1-score games, and that's just the losses. I look at some of the wins: Chicago, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Indy, Jacksonville the second time around, Miami, Tennessee the second time around. The Houston Texans were in a dogfight in a lot of those games. And when you look at just kind of making up for some of the past mistakes, right? Some of the past sins. America has a pope, right? Shout out to Chicago. But if you look at the things that the Houston Texans just didn't fare well with last season and how they went about addressing it in the offseason, for me, it's all offense, right? Before the players are mentioned, before I even mention the players, coaching-wise, Houston brought in 5 new offensive coaches. We get caught up in the bigger names with more prominent roles, but clearly Houston felt the need to add more manpower to the offensive side of the ball to help usher in this new era of Texans offense, right? Not only for the player's sake, but I also think for the coach's sake as well. Ben McDaniels will be working with Coach Jerry Shaplinski and Gerard Johnson, and I think that would add a different wrinkle in what they'll ask of the skilled players and the quarterbacks. All hands on deck. So that's a bonus. And same for Mike Snyder and his history of being around and being a part of some very good Russian teams in the NFL, combining his mind and his background and his history with Cole Popovich and Danny Barrett. So small details, just small details, but those details matter. And aside from QB and the starting running back, there's not one unit that doesn't have real competition. Quarterback is set. CJ Stroud. Starting running back is set. Joe Mixon. Your top dog at receiver is set. Nico Collins. But on the offensive side of the ball, you look at the competition narrative that's been swirling around since day one of free agency in the offseason with the offensive line. And then they go out there and they draft Woody Marks, and they make 2 wide receiver selections in the top 100. So, and I also know that there's a foregone conclusion that we'll see Dalton Schultz and Brevin Jordan, and I get that. But between the new guys and returning vets, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a surprise decision in that room in the name of competition, where we may not see those guys that we thought we were going to see. Brevin Jordan is a fan favorite, right? And we know about his playoff touchdown that blew the roof off NRG Stadium against the Cleveland Browns 2 seasons ago. We know about his intangibles. We know about his athletic ability, but the fact remains he missed a season. Now he's healthy now. He's been working out. I'm very excited to see what Brevin Jordan can do for the Houston Texans once preseason gets here. Houston gave him a 1-year extension, but he's going to have to earn it. And I think that's okay. I think that when you look at this entire offseason, I just think nothing went unchecked. Nothing went neglected offensively compared to last offseason. Plus, Houston added CJ Gardner-Johnson on the defensive side of the ball. And as of right now, I say Houston has done a very good job revamping their team's weaknesses. The only thing you don't want to see is repetitive behavior. And with some of these players that were signed in the offseason, so many players fighting for depth alignment where they'll be lined up in a depth chart, that potentially plays a role in the amount of snaps. The amount of snaps plays a role in how these players feed their families. If you're not on the field a lot, if you're not giving yourself enough tape to where you're making explosive plays for the Houston Texans or maybe potentially for another team, then that's going to hurt some of these players. And I think with the competition that Houston has brought in, I don't think we're going to see some of the same behaviors that we saw from this team offensively last season. I don't. It'll be hard to pick up some of those bad habits when you got guys constantly each and every day coming in fighting. D'Amico Ryans even said it. If you were the man in college, come be the man now. Don't wait for no vet. So when I look at Have the Texans done enough? And also, I want to keep in mind that Nick Caserio has already mentioned, essentially, there's more than one way to skin a cat. This may not be the final roster, but the roster that Houston has put together right now, the 90-man roster, is competitive. It's full of talent. Not only is it full of talent, but some of the guys that were brought in will be able to raise the floor of some of these rooms. This will also give the new offensive coaches an opportunity to look at the players that are in a room and say, well, we like this guy a little bit more because he does X, Y, and Z for us and the things that we're asking. It also gives them an opportunity to look at the guys that are in that room and say, hey, you know what, Nick? Please keep your eyes open this preseason because there's a player out there that we think can potentially take us over the top. I think the Houston Texans have done enough right now. The talking point has been the offensive line. Granted, and I understand that. That's a huge concern. But that's one of those positions, along with tight end, we have to see how everything plays out. A name doesn't always make or break a team. A name does not always make or break a team, especially up front. You can have the biggest name, but that offensive line ain't doing much. Then what does your name mean? That's another contract that, honestly, a team down the line probably wouldn't be able to afford if you are a top-tier offensive lineman, but the rest of the guys on that unit ain't worth much, or the unit itself isn't worth much. And I think that's a fair way to put that because those guys made it to the NFL. That's no disrespect to them. But if the unit is out of whack, then the name don't matter. Now, there is a name that I think will be a household name here in Houston for some time to come, the rookie, REVAMP Houston. Let's hear from him when we come back. We got more Locked On Texans on this Tuesday. Don't go nowhere. We turned up today, y'all. But the NBA playoffs are in full swing. It's exciting. Every night, we just saw the Knicks go up 3-1 on the Boston Celtics, something that nobody thought that they were going to see. Every night delivers a highlight-worthy performance, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. I mean, Jalen Brunson. Yeah, you are the best point guard in the East. And I really want to see the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers. Whether it's game-winning shots or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it with a same-game parlay? How could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? Think about it. New to FanDuel? No worry. No problem. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Biggest surprise? I mean, being a Houston Texan, honestly, I couldn't walk into a better situation. You know, we were a big culture school at Minnesota, so, you know, Texans is the same as well. So we talk about swarm mentality at Minnesota. We talked about necktie mentality, always attacking and never fool. Yeah, myself, I take pride in protecting my quarterback and opening holes for my running back. No, yeah. I'm on whatever they ask me to do. That's the type of guy I am, you know. I'm just here to be a vessel and just keep getting better each and every day. We're going to look up and see where the sun is at when that time comes.
That was the rookie REVAMP Houston out of Minnesota, tackle, who we all want to see play tackle. Said a few things that I really love. He's coming from a culture school. They talk about their mentality, and he's going to adapt well here in Houston to the swarm mentality. Taking pride in protecting the quarterback. And let me just say this, man. The one stat I want to keep up with this season. Come on, y'all follow me. I want to keep up with the amount of times the quarterback gets hit and the offensive lineman is there to pick him up. I want to keep that stat. I want to track that stat. I think we should find somebody I should find somebody to track that stat. I don't know if PFF does an advanced stat on the amount of times an offensive lineman is around their quarterback to help them up when they get hit illegally or legally. That was something that was a huge problem for me last season, watching that offensive line just work. And I would see CJ Stroud get banged up and hit in the backfield, and he would just pick himself up. He would pick himself up, and that speaks to the mentality that CJ Stroud has. But a lot of people tried to use his mental ability against him coming out of Ohio State. But that is a tough quarterback. So I love to hear that from Mariante. And also just, yeah, he wants to open up running lanes. And he's down for whatever. I want to see the young man play tackle. There is nothing like finding your franchise quarterback. I mean, obviously it is when you find a franchise quarterback. But then there's nothing like finding a franchise tackle to protect him. There is nothing like finding a franchise tackle to protect your franchise quarterback. And the reason why I want to see the rookie play tackle is because it would be the justification of moving on from Laremy Tunsil. Now, everything I just said in the first segment, I still hold true to myself. I think Houston has done enough. Before the draft, the conversation here on the show with a former colleague of the show, host of the show, and around the city of Houston, this credential media members, all alike, Houston has to replace Laremy Tunsil. Well, the rookie could be that replacement. The rook could for sure be the replacement for Laremy Tunsil. The thing is, Cam Robinson may just beat him out. And that's okay if Cam beats him out at tackle, because if his mindset is, I just want to be wherever and do whatever that they need for me to do, I'm eager to see how he finds a way to get on the field. I am eager to see how he finds a way to get on the field and make a name for himself. And this is also a moment where I have to give Cam Robinson some love. I mean, he struggled when he got to Minnesota with the Minnesota Vikings, but when he started the year off with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024, Robinson allowed just 16 pressures on 226 pass blocking snaps. This was the 8th lowest pressure rate, 7.1%, among left tackles with at least 100 pass blocking snaps during that span. Went to Minnesota, had to learn something totally different. And so what you love is Cam is coming in and he's going to be with this team from the free agency period all the way through the season. He's on a 1-year deal. It's a very friendly deal compared to the guy that they have waiting for him. It's not like if they don't re-sign Cam Robinson next offseason, then it's a bust for Houston, similar to the Stephon Diggs situation, who they traded for, of course. And I know that's entirely different in terms of contract, but they got a guy. They have the rookie. The rookie will be ready. The rookie will be waiting. The rookie will be in the shadows. And not only in the shadows, he'll be out in the Front Street. He'll be out there busting ass too. He'll be out there getting a hand on boys too, right? And he'll also be in the fire because he'll be going up against Will Anderson, who, by the way, when I look at Boldest predictions, y'all better stick around. Danielle Hunter. If they decide to shift him inside to just get a look at that, he'll be going up against Big Foley. You know, he'll be going up against competition. What I like for the left tackle spot right now is Cam Robinson did a good job against Houston last year. Did a very good job against Houston last year. I think against the Houston Texans last year, Cam Robinson had maybe one pressure. Like, he balled out. So that position, I think, is more stable than right tackle, which is a good thing. That's going to be the guy that's protecting your blind side. There's a vet there. There's also a vet that'll be able to kind of collab and get on the same page with the vet next to him and Titus Howard. But ultimately, with the big fella, you just love to hear him say things like, yeah, the culture ain't going to shock me because I'm used to it. This is the kind of culture that we ran while I was in college a few months ago. I take pride in protecting the quarterback. And those are good things to hear. Typically, those are the same thing you're going to hear out of every rookie offensive lineman coming into the NFL. But what's encouraging the most is He's saying these things, and he's going to be with a coaching staff that I think will bring it out of him. This unit wants, what D'Amico said, nastiness, toughness, grit. They want you to get in somebody's face. So take pride in protecting your quarterback, young man. Get a penalty if you need to. Don't worry about it. They will pay the fine if somebody hits your quarterback and it's illegal, and you got to kind of go check them a little bit. But also his wanting to be, play wherever Houston needs him, that's encouraging. I will say this. He is a tackle. They have a clear vision of him being a tackle. He needs to stay at tackle. There is no rush to get Ariante on the field because based off of what Cam Robinson in a sample size was able to be for the Jacksonville Jaguars last season before they traded him, before they got off his contract, he played some good football. And that's what you want to see for Cam Robinson protecting CJ Stroud. When we come back, my boldest prediction. I'm talking bold, baby. I'm talking bold here on the Locked On Texans podcast. Please stick around. We got more Texans talk on the other side. Don't miss it. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Thank you for making Locked On Texans your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Scouting. The NFL draft is over. I understand you guys are searching for something, but understand this: the moves, the roster moves, and the news never stops. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Do we think the Baltimore Ravens did enough? They got Lamar Jackson. But did they really do enough to scare you? That's going to be a talking point this whole offseason for people that are expecting the Houston Texans to get over the hump. Did Buffalo do enough? That's the team Houston beat. That's a team that made the MVP quarterback, Josh Allen, look very pedestrian-like for the majority of that game. Did the Kansas City Chiefs do enough? So when you look at, have the Texans done enough? What I opened up with, yeah, I think that they've done enough. But also the teams that are somewhat in the same boat, like Kansas City, they're in a different boat. They're in a yacht. They are in a yacht right now. The Houston Texans are on a little paddle boat. I get it. They're trying to get to where the Kansas City Chiefs are in the AFC. But there's a lot of paddle boats. There's a lot of paddle boats chasing the Kansas City Chiefs. The last team to win to win a Super Bowl from the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens in a paddle boat. It's a pretty paddle boat. It's an expensive paddle boat with Lamar Jackson's contract. The colors are nice, but they're in a paddle boat. The MVP, Josh Allen, he's in a paddle boat. He's in a paddle boat. But did they do enough? Did Buffalo do enough? I said last week, Texan fans should not worry about power rankings. But I mean, hey, the Chargers should not be ranked over Houston. They just embarrassed them a few months ago. Did they do enough? Paddle boat. A lot of these teams are in that paddle boat chasing their yacht. Their yacht got 24-karat gold surrounding around it, wrapped in. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The trophy is just sitting there, blinging. It's beautiful. But these teams are in the paddle boat. And I think Houston has done enough. I also don't think on the flip side that teams like the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills did enough this upcoming season. So I think Houston will find themselves in favorable positions. I think the first couple of weeks will be a little bit different for Houston as they continue to learn a new offense. That said, I expect for the Houston Texans to have a much more active offseason in training camp and preseason. They'll take that much more seriously. But my boldest prediction, I got a couple. If the Houston Texans see 17 games, 15 games of Will Anderson, Defensive Player of the Year. This guy, Will Anderson is almost a perfect player. Like there's some things in his game that you may want to see him clean up on, but I guarantee you the things that I saw from Will Anderson coming out of college from Alabama, his first year to last year, that I wanted him to clean up on, he cleaned up on it last year. Got a little bit more bendier last year. Worked on some of his pass rush moves. I think Will Anderson will be in a race for Defensive Player of the Year. And if that happens, Myles Garrett just went crazy with that contract. The Browns had to keep him. I think it was $40 million the Browns gave him. I could see Houston when it's time to pay Will Anderson getting close to that. He's an all-world player. He's a guy that I think because of his discipline, and when I say discipline, his gap discipline, his assignment discipline, doesn't necessarily cheat in too much, plays a run, doesn't create too many rushing lanes for the quarterback because he's out of place. He's a guy that, again, a near perfect player, with everything he brings to the field. And he makes other guys' jobs around him easier. Plain and simple. Like we saw Mario Evers go crazy last year, and Tim Settle. Tim Settle went crazy last year. Foley Fadakowski, when he was on the field, those D tackles went crazy last year. I don't think it was just a coincidence. They got Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson on the side of them. But that speaks to the level of discipline that Raw Wright teaches his defensive line unit altogether. Those guys don't do a lot of cheating. They don't. I think a large part of why we don't see Malik Collins here in Houston anymore. Just a different level of discipline that the D-line for the Houston Texans play with. You guys got to watch it. That's one of my boldest predictions, and I know we are in May. We just got past Mother's Day, and I'm sure if Will Anderson's mom heard that, she'll be happy. But I honestly believe that he has a shot to win Defensive Player of the Year this upcoming year if he plays in at least 15 games. Another bold prediction, I think we're going to see a major shakeup in that tight end room. I really do. This could be me still coming off the hype of Luke Lachey out of Iowa. This could also be me combining that hype with the track record of Iowa tight ends over the past decade. But I think he's going to compete for a spot, man. I don't know if it's going to be Dalton Schultz. I still think Houston can use Schultz. And I think with smart coaching, you'll get the most out of him. Of course, you don't want to see him blocking 280-pound defensive linemen. You don't want to see him blocking guys like that on the edge. But Schultz, I think, will be a part of this unit moving forward. But the competition between Lachey, Jordan, Stover, and Irv Smith, I think, will be interesting. And of those guys, the question will be, of course, who will be able to set themselves apart the most? It's going to come down to blocking assignment. What do you do on special teams? And how are you able to, for the tight end group, how are you able, Brevin Jordan, Kay Stover, Irv Smith, Luke Lachey, how are you able to make CJ Stroud's life easier? If I can keep it bold, I am going to say we will not see either Brevin Jordan or Luke Lachey on this team. Will not make the 53-man roster. Thank you guys for watching and listening to today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast. 3 favors for me, please. You'd have made it this far, so just do me a little bit more. Another favor. Like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. You guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here listening to the Locked On Texans podcast, getting your day started. I appreciate that. Until next time, ladies and gents and Texan fans across the world, H-Town, put it down. Peace.